Breaking, new poll puts Reform 9 points clear of the Tories. The revolt is truly underway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. That is welcome news indeed, isn't it? Something else I've noticed on Twitter in the last 2 days has been the complete collapse of the mental health of all the people that hate Nigel Farage. It's amusing to me that the whole world seems to have shrank in the last decade with the internet and globalisation and everything becoming super normal. And I think Farage derangement syndrome is now definitely a thing because the amount of people who appear to be mentally ill at the mere thought of Nigel Farage being a sitting MP and then spewing inanity all across social media is genuinely amusing. So, I will talk about the polls for a little bit and obviously what's going on in Clacton. But the main purpose of this video is just to enjoy ourselves reading some of the bilge that the mentally ill, deranged woke are spewing into cyberspace because it's laugh out loud funny. Tens of thousands of people on Twitter definitely should be locked in a padded cell, eating mashed banana and headbutting the rubber wallpaper because they've completely lost the plot. We've got a guy who's been in politics for decades, literally decades, and has never once been considered to be anything other than a boring milquetoast centre-right English politician. But with him now finally appearing to be a threat to the ideologues that run the show, social media's in complete meltdown. You would think they were talking about Ted Bundy or Gary Glitter running for Parliament the way they're going on. It's genuinely laugh out loud funny. So Nigel Farage, FDS, Farage derangement syndrome, it's a thing. The British equivalent of the Trump version. Yeah, all those lunatics who act as if the Orange Oracle is, one of Pol Pot's chief lieutenants. It's crazy to see. And I'm just going to briefly talk about the polls and then laugh at some of the most unhinged things that are on Twitter today. So, enjoy. I'm so sick to death of Reform UK dominating this platform. I hate everything they stand for. They are sick, demented assholes, don't know why spelling it like an American, who want to create a regime resembling you-know-who. Horrific times ahead if they get into power. Shout me down if you want, but I won't change. Yeah, 20 years he's been milling around. Boring. All you could really say about him is he's kind of boring. He's never really proposed anything radical. Just enforcing the existing laws, deporting criminals, having a process to let people in. Boring. At no point did he say, you know what we should do? Round them all up, stick them in a camp and guard it with machine gun nests. Never happened. So if you think this, you are mentally ill. There's no other way of putting it. It's like referring to Keir Starmer as Pol Pot. It doesn't make any sense. Keir Starmer's got myriad flaws, but nobody's suggesting that he's going to have a regime resembling one that killed millions and millions of people and plunged the entire world into war. And this bloke who's typing this drivel looks to be about 80. It'd be a stupid thing to type if you were 8, let alone 80. So check your head for a shit mark. Last week it emerged the Reform candidate for Bexhill thinks we should have done a deal. Now their candidate in Surrey Heath blames the UK for the Falklands War. People who love our country won't vote for this rabble. Well, they will knobhead because they haven't got the IQ of a pork pie and don't think that while talking about historical figures, you can't have differing opinions. This isn't complicated at all, is it? People think various things about Napoleon or Rommel or Stalin. You can talk about these things if you're mature. I'm sure many people think we should have done a deal because it might have made things go differently. Nobody can know. That's why history is interesting to talk about. But simply having an opinion, maybe it would have been better and things might have turned out better if we'd done a deal with the one bollocked Austrian. Saying that doesn't mean, therefore I agree with all of his policies. Are we really this infantile with our levels of debate that a grown man in a collared shirt typing that on Twitter gets 10 likes? 10! At this point, Gary Glitter could show us a photograph of his beanbag and it'd get 10 likes. These people are off it. And here's a good one from Chatty Carol. Carol Vorderman has got rubber lips, latex nipples, and a balsa wood fanny at this point. I wouldn't go near Carol Vorderman's gusset unless you strapped it to the front of a transit van and drove it through a car wash 8 times. She needs a good scrub. But look at this tweet. Reform, the fast train back to the 1930s. In response to an already inane tweet, I think it's becoming clear that Reform are even worse than the BNP. In what way are they even worse than the actual white nationalist party? Really? I'll tell you what. Okay then, let's put your money where your mouth is. If Reform win, we'll just say, oh well, Liz Webster said she'd rather have Nick Griffin and all of his mates in charge, so we'll just swap them. Just swap them, seeing as Liz Webster thinks that's a good idea. And that was based off a Times article. Reform UK candidate defends praise of the one bollocked Austrians' brilliant tactics. So what? So what? Again, are we children? Are we children? We can't say things like that. Maybe he did have good tactics. I know a lot about Napoleon. I've watched tons of documentaries about Napoleon. Brilliant tactics. It doesn't mean I think it was a good idea to barnstorm across Europe, pillage the Italians, and bayoneting Belgians and Spaniards and anybody else who we wanted to have a go at. Doesn't mean I thought that was a good idea. It's just mind-blowing to me that we're this childish. So what if Dan Snow, the lefty historian, said loads of good things about Napoleon? Does that mean he wanted Napoleon? Oh, you said good things about Napoleon, therefore you wanted him to crush the British during the Napoleonic Wars, annex all of Europe, and butcher 10 million people? No, it doesn't, does it? It doesn't. It's just an opinion. It's got nothing to do with anything. And I can't believe, I actually cancelled my Times subscription last year because I wanted to support conservative media. But this type of nonsense has just made me glad I made the right decision. It's laughable. It's childish. You're allowed to have opinions about historical events. It doesn't mean, therefore, put a load of innocent people in an oven, does it? Think. Farage is following a path not dissimilar to the one Adolf took before gaining control of Germany. Don't let history repeat itself. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's just a wash with this drivel. Everyone I don't like, no matter how boring and no matter how milquetoast and no matter how long they've been in politics, everyone I don't like is going to reenact WW2 and 50 million people are going to die in the fires. Cheers then, Andrew. You absolute log. This is what we're dealing with. The 7-year-old boy's guide to political discourse. Love or hate Nigel Farage, if you want to exist in a world where people who talk about politics engage with each other with a level of intellectual acuity slightly higher than that of a spastic 8-year-old, you should just support Farage at this point, because the only way we can get them to shut up is just put him in. Just put him in power, and when nothing drastic happens and nobody gets shoveled into an oven and we don't invade Poland, it's the only way we're going to shut these lunatics up. So, the polling's looking good. Reform in some polls are as high as 25%. Took me by surprise. I've been saying I expected them to get 15, 20%. Totally gut the Conservative Party, and then maybe in 5 years' time, the rest of the crusty old Conservatives will actually switch on and finally abandon the Conservative Party. But maybe, just maybe, enough of them are going to get on board to elect Farage in Clacton, throw Reform dozens of seats, and make them the official opposition in the UK. It really is quite remarkable. He's Trumpian in his sudden barnstorming up the charts, as it were. It's amazing to see, and I wholeheartedly support it. No matter where you live, you should be voting for Reform if there's a candidate available. Rod's running in the borough, so the SDP up there, I don't think they're running a candidate. And being patriots, it looks like they are going to stand people down in certain constituencies if it looks like a proper alternative's there already. So please, vote for them. Encourage people to vote for them. Talk about it in the pub loudly with all your mates. We really need to kill the Conservative Party forever, and Nigel's the man to do it. I think it's great. And driving millions of wokists mentally ill is just the cherry on top. Nice one. All right, thanks for watching, ladies and gents. I'll be back tomorrow, and I will be live streaming on Saturday this week, so I'll see you all then at 7 p.m. UK. All right, be there or be square. Toodle pip. Cheers.